Hi everyone, welcome to the Knitting Turnpike. Hey everybody, welcome to the Knitting Turnpike. Today I'm doing a tutorial, short tutorial. This is a question from Jenny. Jenny, this is for you. She asked if I could do a tutorial showing what happens when you drop a stitch on an I-cord. So I knitted up this swatch last night, and you can see it has a lovely I-cord edge here, lovely I-cord edge here. So the first thing let's remember how we make an I-cord, and then we'll drop some stitches. So let's on these I-cord edges, I am on the right side, I am knitting the first stitch, bringing the yarn forward, slipping the second stitch, taking the yarn and back, knitting the third stitch. I think that's what's so complicated, is that you have to do different things for different stitches. It isn't just like stockinette where you just, knit all the time. Let me get to the other side. I'll show you that again, and then we'll look at the wrong side construction because it's different. So I'm to the other side now. As a reminder again, when you do an I-cord on the right side, you knit the first stitch, you bring the yarn to the front, slip the second stitch purlwise with the yarn in front, take the yarn back to the back, knit the third stitch. Okay, that's for the I-cord. Now, when you're on the wrong side row to make an I-cord, you slip the first stitch with the yarn in front, take the yarn to the back, knit the second stitch, and then bring the yarn back to the front and slip the third stitch to make the I-cord. Again, to make an I-cord on the wrong side, your working yarn is in front. For the first stitch, you slip it purlwise, bring the yarn to the back so you have a ladder in front of that. The second stitch, you're going to knit. Third stitch, you bring the yarn back to the front again and slip it, and then take the yarn back. And there you go. That's how you do the I-cord on the right and the wrong side. So you have to remember that when you're trying to fix the stitch, because depending on where you are is going to be how you have to fix the stitch. You might be bringing the ladder behind it or in front of it and slipping it or knitting it. It just depends on where you are. So let's drop a stitch and try to put it back together. I do think it's important to take a look at this real up close, because you can see this is knit, the third stitch is knit, but when that second stitch, you have that ladder in front of it. I'm sorry, you have it, it's a knit stitch. Can you see that? But there is a ladder in front of it on the next stitch down where you slipped it. So on the back side, you have the knit stitch. The next stitch, next row down, you have that ladder in front of it, which is, hold on, let me see if I can grab something to point to it. It's hard to hold this and point and show you exactly what I mean. I'm talking about this ladder right there. Which stitch do you want me to drop? Do you want the middle stitch, the first stitch, or the third stitch? Tell you what, let's just do the third stitch. Alright, let's say we're right there. Oh my goodness. Dropped a stitch. 1 second. I'm going to take that stitch thing out since I'm right there by the third thing until I get it fixed. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to catch it since I've realized what I've done. I'm going to try to assess where I am. I mean, you just watched me drop it, but I'm going to just pretend like I just saw this. So I want to see how far down I am The last stitch I have on my needles is a knit stitch. You see that? So the next stitch is a wrong side row, which is a slip. That would be this next one. Then you have that ladder there, which is going to be a knit, the one that's longer poking out, and that will be the slip stitch. Then you'll have the longer ladder, which is going to be a knit, that'll be the slip, and then I think we ended with a knit on the right side row. Okay, so let me cap these ends. We don't want any more drop stitches, casualties. So now that I have a plan, let's get busy. Okay, so we're on a knit stitch. The next stitch on the wrong side will be a slip stitch. It's a slip stitch with a working yarn in front. And it's going to be that one right there. Don't really have to do anything because you're just slipping the working yarn in front and it's already there. So you skip that. Do not do anything with it because all you're doing is slipping the stitch. The next stitch is a knit stitch. So that will be this stitch here. Make a knit stitch there. The next stitch is a slip stitch with a working yarn in front. That will be this one right here. See, you will skip that stitch right there because that's a slip stitch on the wrong side. The next stitch is a knit stitch. And then you have a slip stitch on the wrong side that you skip, and then you end with a knit stitch. So you're just having to skip the stitches every other side to keep that slip stitch in back. Let's see what this looks like. And I think if we knit one more row, you may not even be able to tell I dropped that stitch. So let's see. Knit, slip, knit. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you've enjoyed this, please give this video a thumbs up. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to put them down in the comments below. I hope that was helpful. If you had dropped the middle stitch, you just have to think about what you do on each row. On the right side, you are slipping the stitch in front of your so you're going to have that bar in front of that second stitch. Then you'll have a knit stitch on the wrong side, which is like a purl stitch. It probably would be easier to do the repair for this if you drop the second stitch from this side, because you're going to be doing exactly what I did for that stitch, where you knit a stitch, skip a stitch because it slipped, knit a stitch, skip a stitch because it slipped on the right side. So if you drop this second stitch, just do what I just did for that third stitch, but I would do it on this side where you're just knitting, repairing the knit stitches and skipping the slip stitches. So I hope that was helpful. Here's a little bit closer up of my repair that I just did, so you can see it close up that it really does look fine. I repaired these stitches right in here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you have a wonderful day. See you next time.